Dzień dobry. Witam gorąco wszystkich rodaków słuchających w Stanach Zjednoczonych oraz na całym świecie. I'm Monika DeMari, and I welcome you from the heartland of America, Chicago, Illinois, from the fields of Wisconsin and the sunshine state of Florida to this very special program sponsored by WPNA Radio, the Polish National Alliance Radio. This is the first ever broadcast of the Polish Americans for Trump radio show, which will be broadcast on Polish radio stations throughout the United States, and it will be live streamed on the internet. I now have a pleasure to introduce you to our two special hosts, Dr. Michel S.Pawlowski from Florida.
Dzień dobry.
And Eva M. Neterowicz from Wisconsin.
Dzień dobry Państwa.
Welcome to the very first edition of Polish Men
and Polish Women
for Trump.
Yes, for President Trump.
I am Dr. Michel S.Pawlowski, National Coalition Co-Chair of Polish Americans for Trump 2020.
And I am your co-host, Eva Neterowicz, National Coalition Chair for Wisconsin, Polish Americans for Trump 2020. Our website is polishamericans.donaldjtrump.com.
We are so proud to be part of the Polish National Alliance radio team, which is making this broadcast possible. And it begins in the month of October, Polish American Heritage Month. Now, I have to remind our listeners, Neva, about the significance of October 1st, 2020 on Polish Americans and the Polish American Heritage Month. You know, this past October was the 412th anniversary of the arrival of the first Polish settlers in America. They landed in Jamestown on October 1st, 1608. Wow, that certainly is history, isn't it, Eva?
You are so right, Michel. These Polish craftsmen came at the request of Captain John Smith, who learned of their work traveling in Eastern Europe and invited them to Jamestown for the specific purpose of helping to establish a glass industry in the colonies. Their first accomplishment was the building of a water well for the colony, and secondly, construction of a furnace to produce glass products, which made it the first factory in America.
Yes, and on July 30th, 1619, something else happened. The Polish settlers accomplished another very noteworthy achievement in the Jamestown colony by staging the first labor strike in America. After being denied participation in the first Virginia Assembly, these Polish settlers conducted a labor walkout, but they did not do a walkout for wages or a walkout for better working conditions. They walked out to obtain democratic voting rights. The newly formed House of Burgesses quickly acknowledged the vital role of the Poles in this settlement's well-being and granted them the same voting privileges as those enjoyed by the English.
The Polish 1619 strike introduced for the first time the spirit of democracy, equality, and brotherhood on this continent, predestined to give humanity and justice a chance. This is a quote from historian Arthur Waldo. Captain John Smith gave these handful of men credit for saving the colony in the first few years.
Eva, you are quite the history buff, I have to say. You really know a lot about Polish history and our country. Well, radio audience, you can see that we have a lot invested in our country. We cannot afford to give up our heritage and the years of personal investment by our Polish ancestors to the United States, the country where we value family, we value faith, we value democracy, and we value fulfillment of the American dream. We do not want socialism. We don't want socialism in this country. You have the spirit and you have the power. Yes, the power to vote. If you believe in and value family, value faith, value democracy, and fulfillment of the American dream, then vote for Donald Trump president.
Yes, we have the spirit and you have the power to vote.
Eva, besides the settlers in Jamestown, do you know who else made contributions to our great country?
Well, yes, I know Tadeusz Kościuszko, Kazimierz Pulaski, Nicholas Copernicus, and others.
Well, absolutely. But there are so many other different categories of people who have made their contributions to our country who are Polish Americans. They are represented in the fields of academics, arts and entertainment, business and economics, explorers.
Yes, and represented in the military, politics, religion, science, sports, and others.
You name it, Ava, and we are there. Most of our listeners, all of our listeners, I would have to say, are hardworking Polish Americans. And to them, the most important issue in the 2020 election is the economy.
Oh, Michelle, I bet I know your favorite entertainer.
Who?
Loretta Swit, musical theater and television actress and star of MASH.
Oh, hot lips. Oh, how I love Polish women. She is an exceptionally beautiful woman, just like you, Ava. And a wonderful person to be with, too. Well, I have to say, she is an excellent dancer. You know what, Ava? I had the opportunity to dance with Hot Lips at one of the International Polonaise Balls in Miami, sponsored by the American Institute of Polish Culture. What a time I had. She had me off of my feet.
Well, that's certainly a surprise to me. You do get around, Michelle.
Say what? Now it's my turn. I bet I know who your favorite actor is.
So, who?
I bet your favorite actor is John Krasinski. He is the star of The Office, A Quiet Place, and 13 Hours plus many, many more.
Silly boy, of course he is. Why wouldn't he be? He has been in so many handsome roles. I'd love to be his co-star. But I'm also an admirer of Paul Newman, Neil Diamond, and Ed Wozniak, co-founder of Apple Computers. They are all of Polish origin.
Oh, I bet you would. They're very accomplished people. Listeners, Eva and I together will be educating you on our program of the many Polish luminaries that make up the population of Polish Americans in this country. People just like you listeners, our listeners, and why it is so very important for you to vote for Donald J. Trump for president. Polish Americans, we will convince you. He is the one. Donald Trump is the one for president. The American people know that President Trump built the greatest economy in the history of the world, and he is the only one capable of doing it again. The only real threat to the recovering economy, or the American economy of the United States, is a Joe Biden presidency. We cannot elect Joe Biden to be president because he is a threat to the economy. Donald Trump will make it better than ever.
Right on. You are so correct, Michelle. We have so many wonderful facts to provide to you and special guests that will emphasize why Polish men and Polish women should definitely vote for Donald J. Trump, president. We will also give you the opportunity to ask questions through email between now and Election Day, Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020.
Yes, Ava, and we will continue our broadcast until Election Day, and a few days afterwards post-election to analyze the results. But then, this is special, we will also cover the presidential inauguration on January 21, 2021, with a direct broadcast from Washington, D.C., covering the festivities.
And as a special award to our listeners, we will give you the opportunity to win 2 tickets to attend the Black Tie and Boots inaugural ball in Washington, D.C. Who knows what else? It's always been a spectacular event in Washington, D.C. the evening before the inauguration.
Hey, Ava, what a great reward package for the loyalty the loyalty of our listeners. You know, Eva, you are awesome. Now, now I wish I was a listener to this great program. I would love to win those spectacular inaugural ball tickets. Maybe we will be able to interview the winners at the ball.
You never know. Michel, can you tell us what President Trump has done for Americans of Polish descent?
Well, he has certainly delivered for the Polish American community and the issues that I know are important for us. According to election data, during the 2016 presidential campaign, the majority of Polish Americans voted for Donald Trump, and they made a significant contribution to his victory, especially in the swing states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and your state, Eva, Wisconsin. You know, we must be ready right now to play an equally active role in securing the president's reelection in 2020. Eva, what about the friendship between Poland and the United States and the fact that Poland is now a member of NATO?
That, Michel, is a great accomplishment of this president. The United States and Poland has an over 200-year friendship based on common democratic and Republican values. President Trump has proven with his policies that the United States is a great friend of Poland. President Trump has recognized issues and formulated policies important to Polish Americans, which include a strong security relationship with the United States, energy security, and the visa waiver program for Poland. These three promises have been fulfilled by President Trump and have become Trump administration policy, hence the logo, promises made and promises kept.
Those promises alone are why we should definitely vote for Donald J. Trump president. Eva, let us take a break and tell our listeners about some of the other future guests coming up on this program. They are special.
We have quite a diverse lineup of guests, Michel. You could almost say we're bursting at the seams with potential guests wanting to participate. They are awesome and will fill our hearts with enthusiasm for President Trump. We have several Polish businessmen and women who will talk about the economy and the president's policies.
We are also looking forward to a very wonderful guest, a friend of mine and an author, Mr. Stephen E. Strang. You know, Stephen Strang has talked with the president several times, and he's written 4 books based upon his own discussions with the president. The first one was God and Donald Trump. His second one was Trump Aftershock. His third book was God, Trump, and the 2020 election. And his just hot off the press book is God, COVID-19, and Donald Trump. He is going to be an amazing guest.
How timely. In addition, we have a commitment from Congressman Matt Gaetz, who's from the 1st District of Florida, and an author who has just published his brand new released book called Firebrand. He's a great speaker.
Oh, yes, Ava. And we also have another congressman, Michael Waltz from the 6th District of Florida. You know, what's special about him is the fact that he fought with Polish brave soldiers in Afghanistan, and he has told me some of the most remarkable stories. He wants to share those stories with our listeners, as well as tell us why it's so important for our listeners to vote for Donald Trump to be reelected president.
In addition, we have other Polish congressmen, senators, and other luminaries that will participate, proving why it is so particularly important for Polish Americans to vote for President Trump. We certainly have a spectacular lineup. We will not want to miss a show, dear listeners, and what is most important, you will be able to participate. What a tremendous program we have in store.
You never know what will happen with Michel and Eva.
Oh, Michel, you are something else.
Yes, I am Polish.
I just remembered the words of Saint Pope John Paul II. Be not afraid. Yes, do not be afraid to vote. Make sure you're registered to vote today. If you are not registered to vote, you must register to vote today. Sign up for an absentee ballot now if you are not able to make it to the polls. And let us not, of course, forget that this saint's feast day is October 22nd.
Great advice, Eva. Vote Donald J. Trump for president. The most important issue for Polish Americans is the security relationship with the United States institutionalized in NATO. You know, President Trump significantly strengthened the eastern flank of NATO, especially, he praised Poland. He praised Poland as an almost ideal member of the Western Alliance. You know, Eva, years ago when I worked in Washington, D.C., I was one of several Polish Americans as part of the leadership of the Polish American Congress who lobbied on Capitol Hill to get Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic admitted to NATO. It was a team project. We were so proud to have accomplished that, I'll tell you. And now President Trump is improving NATO by encouraging all of the nation participants to pay their fair share to support NATO. Poland, based on the request of President Trump, has completely paid up their annual dues, and other countries are still behind. Poland always led the way by paying its dues on time, all the time. President Trump has been very effusive in his praise for Poland stepping up to the plate.
A concrete expression of this commitment is the signing of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement on the 15th of August, 2020. It not only increases the presence of American troops and holds out a prospect of more in the future, but it also transfers a key military command to Poland for the defense of the region. Donald Trump knows what security means. His actions help improve the security of Poland and other nations. This is a big improvement in comparison to previous administrations. The Polish people approve of this action, and support for NATO means strong security for Poland.
You know, the second issue, Eva, is related to energy security. You know, it's unfortunate as a result of historical legacy. Poland and the other East European countries have been very dependent on the monopolistic supplies of natural gas from Russia to meet their energy needs.
Yes, and this makes them vulnerable to Russian political blackmail and supply disruptions, as well as abusive business practices. That is why they organized the 3Cs initiative to build up their infrastructure to be able to import energy from outside the region.
Yes, Eva, the ability to import energy, especially from the United States. What's significant is earlier this year, Secretary of State Pompeo announced that the U.S. will provide up to $1 billion, yes, $1 billion in financial contribution to expand the pipeline infrastructure of member states of NATO. Wow, now that is a considerable investment, $1 billion, a considerable investment on the part of the United States that directly impacts Poland.
Yes. Michel, you know what really upsets me? It upsets me that East European states are trying to keep themselves from being held hostage from a stranglehold of Russia and diversify their energy sources, while at the same time, Germany is developing a Russian partnership to make Germany the hub for distribution of Russian natural gas throughout Europe. This is bad from their own national security perspective.
Oh, you are so right, Eva. This partnership is in the process of constructing the Nord Stream it's called the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which will double the supply of Russian gas to Europe and isolate Eastern Europe, especially the Ukraine. You know, the Ukraine will be held hostage more or less, making it even more vulnerable to Russian pressure and supplies disruptions. This is not a good thing to happen for the European states and especially Ukraine.
Yes, absolutely right. And in addition, massive supplies of Russian natural gas would make Western Europe also dependent on Russia and potentially interfere with American exports of natural gas to support those countries.
Our hero to the rescue, recognizing this vulnerability impacting Europe and Poland, our hero President Trump imposed sanctions on the construction and finance companies involved that were participating in this project to increase the security of the NATO Western Alliance. Oh, Eva, we need to mention the visa waiver program also.
Yes, Michelle, we certainly do. A particularly important issue to Polish Americans is the Poland visa waiver program. Before President Trump took office, Poland was one of only 3 countries in the European Union where citizens must get a visa to come to the United States as a tourist or business person.
Talk about discrimination. We were truly discriminated against with that foreign policy.
But President Trump changed this policy. Poland joined the visa waiver program last fall. Now, Polish Americans who have friends and relatives can come visit the United States without a visa.
Eva, that alone is a great success story. That success story has to warm the hearts and souls of Polish people here and Polish people abroad.
Michelle, Polish Americans are proud of the contributions of Tadeusz Kościuszko and Kazimierz Pawlowski, who were heroes in the fight for independence of both the United States and Poland. We are proud of their contributions to this nation, especially since you think about how it all started in Jamestown.
Yes, but today we are in a big struggle against a slowly creeping tolerance for socialism and communism and anti-religious movements since the end of World War II. Today, the United States is the preeminent global power under the leadership of President Trump, engaged in a struggle against communism, socialism, and to spread the theme of democracy and human rights. You know, the only way we can keep it that way is to vote for Donald Trump, Eva.
We do need to keep it that way, Michelle. Poland is a strategic partner of the United States in assuring security of the Western Alliance. President Trump's policies have created beneficial conditions for business and investments, both here and in Poland. Remember, listeners, please vote for Trump.
Members of our audience, if you would like to send in questions to us, we are monitoring our computers. You can send your questions for us to put on the air to the following email address and we will bring them up. What is that address, Eva?
Our email address is mogul, M-O-G-U-L, at PolishAmericansForTrump.org. But remember, please give us your name and where you live. We will announce your question on the air and answer it. We look forward to your input.
That's the same email address to register for the inaugural ball tickets for Black Tie and Boots, remembering to put your name and your address and contact number by phone so that we can put you into the drawing. Eva?
Michelle, the choice comes down to President Trump or Joe Biden. Let's compare a few points. President Trump has accomplished more in 47 months than Joe Biden has in 47 years. Joe Biden is the Trojan horse of the extreme liberal left. He will usher in unlimited benefits for illegal immigrants, will tear down our borders, and will eliminate gas-powered cars and airplanes. He said at the debate that he will tear down perfectly good buildings in favor of high-priced green initiatives. He wants to eliminate cattle for food because of the gases they emit. All of these wacko ideas are going to cost us not billions, but trillions of dollars. Furthermore, under his hand, he will favor the burning and destruction of our businesses and homes by so-called peaceful protesters over law-abiding citizens and law enforcement. Biden does not have a single endorsement of any law enforcement organization. Now, Kamala Harris has an even worse record, if you can imagine that, and she is the heir apparent. She represents the most extreme radical element of the Democratic Party and was voted the most liberal senator in the US Congress. Talk about the Trojan horse. What will emanate from her will be a repeat of the disaster she caused in California. Law and order was non-existent when she was Attorney General. Joe Biden, in his debate with her, said that due to her incompetence, over 1,500 prisoners were released back on the streets of California. She advocates for the elimination of private health insurance plans, has threatened to put parents in jail if their children are truant, and encouraged people to donate to the Minnesota Freedom Fund, which bailed rapists, assaulters, and murderers out of jail. She even said she was open to giving terrorists and rapists the right to vote from prison. Can you imagine that she could be a pulse beat away from the American presidency? Michel, what would become of our beloved United States?
Thank you, Eva, for giving us that perspective. You know, President Trump fulfilled important promises to the Polish American community, and we, all of us here, are working to assure his re-election and to build on these successes during the next 4 years. But we need your help. Remember, Polish people, we have the spirit and we have the power to vote for Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, for 4 more years. 4 more years. We need President Trump. Please vote for President Donald J. Trump. God bless the United States of America, our country.
God bless Poland. God bless you, our listeners, and God bless the Polish American Congress and the Polish National Alliance for making this program possible. Michel, there has never been a stronger partner than President Trump and his policies for Poland. His visit to Poland was his first foreign visit of his presidency. Never forget that. We need the Polish Americans to turn out in tremendous numbers to vote for Donald J. Trump for president. 4 more years.
Yes, and Eva and I look forward to sharing more time with you to give you more information on why Donald Trump is the one. Thank you for listening, and thank you so very much for being part of our family. We cannot afford to throw away our Polish American history in establishing the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. Let us keep it great. Remember to vote, Polish Americans. Vote Donald J. Trump president. Thank you from myself and Eva.
Thank you, Michelle and Eva, for all the information, your enthusiasm, and a great show today. This is Monika DeMari again, saying thank you to our listeners for listening today. I'm already registered to vote, and I'm all set to vote Donald J. Trump for 4 more years. And dear listeners, remember, we have more interesting and educational programs scheduled for you, so stay tuned. Your future depends upon it. You can also help promote Polish Americans for Trump by texting freedom to 88022. And again, our website is polishamericans.donaldjtrump.com. And you can also find us on social media under #PolishAmericans4Trump. Thank you so much, and we will hear you and talk to you soon.